is a very important place. And I think the only way... Hi, welcome to my kitchen again. Today it's the food of Spain. Please understand that there is absolutely no connection between Spanish food and Mexican food. Oh, except to say, of course, that the Spaniards influenced Mexican cuisine when they went into Mexico, but that has not happened in the reverse. That is to say, in Spain, you cannot order beans and tortillas. Not at all. So let's not confuse the two. I want to get going with the national dish of Spain right now. It's called a paella. P-A-E-L-L-A. Double A's in Spanish are pronounced as a Y. So we have an interesting word to start with, paella, not paella. There, we're going to saute rice. This is a rice dish. And I want to brown, the rice is beautiful. I want to brown a couple cups of rice, and I'm using converted rice, Uncle Ben's converted rice, you see. And I've browned it in olive oil to start with. You understand what I'm saying? Put it on the pan on the stove and brown it so that it separates, and that's the basis for a good paella. Secondly, now we want to get some vegetables going in our pan. So I'll put some garlic in my frying pan. Get a great big frying pan to do this. It's just wonderful fun. The term paella in Spain refers to the pan. It doesn't refer to the dish, but to the pan itself. So into the pan, I'm going to put some garlic. There we are. Oh, 4 cloves, something like that. You can put in more if you like. And we'll put some olive oil in here and get it rolling. There. Toast the garlic for just a minute or so. And don't worry about using lots of olive oil. That's common in European cooking, and we know now that olive oil is really quite good for us. All right, now into that pan, we want to add a good handful of, maybe two yellow onions sliced up. I'm going to cook this dish in a hurry. This takes some time to prepare. I've already browned the rice, you see. I'm going to add 2 nice tomatoes, diced. Oh, what a wonderful sound. I love it. Remember, it is the pan that gives the name to the dish. Paella is the pan. And if you buy one in Spain, they're big, round metal pans. I prefer to use a pan that's lined with silverstone, which is what I have here, a great big one. We'll let that cook down for a bit until it's good and soft. This, of course, we're doing this very quickly. To that, now I'm going to add some chorizo. And I pre-cooked the chorizo. Chorizo is a Spanish sausage made of pork and a bit of chili powder and some vinegar and oregano. The recipe's in either of my cookbooks. And you can make it that, or you can buy it at the market. All right, let that cook down. There we are. We're going to let the onions and the tomatoes cook for, probably about 9 or 10 minutes so that they begin to calm down in the pan. You see, you can see through the onions a bit, translucent, they say. Now we'll add the rice, which we've cooked up, 2 cups of rice. And I browned this, toasty brown. You see how beautiful this is? Why do I fool around with a wooden spoon when a hand is much better? And please don't write and tell me. My hands are perfectly clean. Spread the rice around on the top of the dish, and now we'll press into that a chicken. We've cooked up a 2.5-pound a fryer. I've browned him a bit. Let's see, who took him? There's a chicken here somewhere. Here he is. We want to put that's the wrong piece. I've got a chicken in here somewhere. I wonder what I did with him. Ah, here he is. This is for another dish. Hang on. I've browned the whole, because I wanted the pieces to be a little bit smaller. So those were too big for paella. The wings and the back and the thighs. Just press it right down into the rice. The onions are now collapsing. That's a horrible thing to say about an onion, isn't it? I should be more respectful. The onions are coming to full glory. Does that sound better? All right. There we are. And finally, let's see, what else do I need to add to that? We need to add a little bit of ham. And I've just chopped up a bit of good ham. Don't buy that boiled stuff. Come on, you don't need that. Now, while that's cooking down a bit, I'm going to prepare the broth that we're going to pour on the rice. And the broth has to be boiling. But what I have in here are 3 cups of rice. Try chicken broth, Smith. 3 cups of chicken broth. And to that, I'm going to add some seasoning. The most popular seasoning, of course, for paella is the seed or the center of the flower of the saffron. Now, we're talking money, gang. We're talking $800 a pound. Frugal, well, you really should use it anyhow. You buy just a little bit. This much will cost you about $1.50. And this is simply, let me explain to you what this is. This is the stamen, or stamen, which is the center part, the pistil or the stamen? The center part of the flower, the crocus, from the beautiful crocus that live in the hills of Spain. And you pick one flower at a time and then reach in and pick out the tiny little stamen or the pistil, whichever is the center part, and the others are on the outside, remember? I should have checked. In any case, you pick those and then dry them in your little basket, and eventually after they're dried, they hit the retail market at $800 a pound. Don't laugh. I wouldn't go out and pick them, would you? It takes you all day long to get just a few, you see? So it's hard work. All right, the rest of our seasonings consist of some red chili flakes. I want to put in about a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm just putting this into the stock now. 3 cups of stock, a little bit of saffron, some chili, red chili flakes, and some thyme. Oh, about a 1/4 teaspoon. And I want to put in a little bit of salt and pepper. Where's the salt and pepper? Not much now. You won't need much. There we are. And some pepper, of course. So into our stock now we have saffron, red pepper flakes, and thyme. And then the colossal one. We're going to add, there we are. We're going to add some paprika. And I want quite a bit of paprika. This will help color the dish. And good paprika really does have a nice flavor. Put in a tablespoon. Maybe a 1/2 tablespoon. In any case, that will make our broth. And we'll pour that now. Bring that to a boil. This, of course, is not quite boiling, but that's all right. And now we'll pour that over our rice. There. Now you notice that in a true paella, you do not put the lid on the pan. You keep it off the pan, and the rice bubbles in the broth, and it cooks just like this. So now let's put the rest of the things on the top. We're going to begin layering gorgeous things. A package of frozen peas that I've simply rinsed off with hot water. Drained, of course. I don't want a lot of water in here. Keep the burners going. You can find 1,000 variations on this dish. Maybe 2,000, I don't know. I've only eaten it. Oh, I'm teasing. But you'll find a lot of variations on this wonderful dish from Spain. And then we're going to add some red pepper. These are sweet bell peppers. If you don't have sweet bell peppers, you can use canned pimentos. But, oh, I think canned pimentos in anything make it taste like chicken a la king from grade school when I was a kid. I cannot bear them. Not the canned ones. This is what they use for a fresh pimento, you see? All right, that'll do us. And on top of that, we're going to place some seafood now. Now let's put some artichokes on, too. And I love artichokes. Where are the artichokes? Here they are. I've got seafood all over the place. It goes on and on. Isn't this wonderful? Some artichokes. These are either canned or frozen. Just press them right down into the broth. There we are. Doesn't this look... The plot thickens. The more you go, you see. And now we're going to add some shrimp. These have been peeled, but they're good size. If you're wondering about how these are going to cook because they're sitting on top, you watch. They'll cook fine. They'll kind of crawl down into the rice as the rice climbs up to envelop them. This is a very dramatic dish. And how about some squid? Now, I've showed you how to clean squid before, so I'm not going to bother today, but I've cut this squid into little circles, you see? Aren't they beautiful? Boy, this is getting dramatic, isn't it? Line up and take a number. I'll tell you. And finally, mussels. See the little mussels? Be sure and clean the beard out. If they have a little piece of well, it's called a beard, a little piece of fiber that they use for holding onto the rock that they cling on to. You want to pull that off. Do not harvest mussels from a pier if they hang on to the side of a creosote-soaked log, which is used for, making a dock. Why, you're going to have a horrible flavor. They'll taste like creosote. You don't want that. Now you notice that I'm putting them down hinge in, you see? The hinge is at this end, the small end. That goes down into the broth so that they will heat up. Oh, that's enough. And you can do this with clams, of course. In the Northwest, we generally use clams. Pacific Northwest, clams are great. All right, everything's in the pan. Now you let that cook for about 20 minutes or so, or until the rice is completely finished. You see, the rice is done. And let me show you what you get. This one is finished. Let me move it off. It's going to take about 20, 25 minutes to cook until the rice is tender. Keep tasting, and you'll have a wonderful, colorful meal. And you put this on the buffet and simply allow everyone to help themselves. It's a whole meal in a paella, in a big metal pan. Let me get rid of this here, and we'll be right back to it. That is heavy, but I have one all ready for you, and I think that you're going to like this. You'd better. It's just colossal. Spanish food. There. Here it is. This one is all finished, and you see all of the muscles. Ugh, Lord, that's heavy. Wow. There. All of the muscles are open now. Actually, they're singing a hymn. I really believe that. What a wonderful way to end up, you know, or to start. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's going to be a wonderful meal. A great Spanish feast. All right, let's go on to a second one. The second dish is very, very simple. It is chicken and chickpea stew. Let me move a thing off. There's too many hot pans. There we go. It's very simple to make. There we go. We have in our pan here, in our 6-quart casserole, we want to put some sautéed onions, about 3 onions, 3 medium-sized onions or 2 big ones, a couple of tomatoes, a little bit of garlic, and some ham. You see the chunks of ham? Fourth of a pound perhaps? And I've sautéed that in a pan with some olive oil. I'm doing this one in a hurry. Then we'll add the chicken. And the chicken can be, you can use thighs and legs if you like for a nice dish. I'm just going to use some thighs and legs. About 2.5 pounds of chicken. And you notice I pre-browned that, right? And in this kind of cooking, you pre-brown all these things. And then throw them in the pot at the last minute. Now, here's the catch. We're going to use garbanzo beans or chichi. Garbanzo, chichi, and chickpeas. Those are the 3 names. And let me show you what they look like. Here we are. When you buy them dry at the supermarket or the Middle Eastern grocery, they look like this. Whoops, hold it. Here's one right here. Look at that color. You see, it's wrong. You see how flat it is? Get it out of there. Sort these out carefully so that you'll have nice-looking chickpeas. And you soak them overnight in water, and they'll swell up like this. Ready? Then you drain them. We'll put a little bit of bicarbonate of soda. You know, good old baking soda. Put some baking soda in this overnight, a teaspoon or so for a gallon of water. Soak them overnight, and then the next day, rinse them and drain them, and then put them in a big pot of water, fresh water, and simmer them for 45 minutes. And you come up with something that looks like this. You want to cook them for 45 minutes so that they're almost ready to eat. You see? This is a wonderful dish. And they're common in the Middle East, and they're common in Spain. There. These are used in soups and all sorts of good things in Spain. All right? Now we want to add to that, to our pot, a couple of bay leaves. Who took the bay leaf? Just one. I think one will do if it's a big one. Well, I have a couple of little ones. We'll do that. That'll be all right. A couple of bay leaves, and we've sautéed our vegetables, onions and a little bit of garlic, the ham, and the tomatoes. They're on the bottom. Then we put the chicken on, then the chickpeas, put on a bay leaf. Now we need a little bit of, just a tiny pinch of salt, and some pepper. Remember now, I've never told you that you shouldn't have a little salt in your kitchen. I've told you should never have salt on the table. I want you to cut down on salt in every way. So put less in your food in the kitchen, and simply don't put a salt shaker on the table. Just don't offer salt. All right? Now then, our next ingredient is a bit of stock. Okay? How much chicken stock do we need, please? Okay, I think we need a couple of cups. I'm guessing. Yep. 2 cups of chicken stock. There we are, and it's boiling, you see. And I'm going to add just a shot of wine. A little bit of white wine will help. Oh, smidgen, like that. And this is going to go into the oven now. And we're going to bake this for about 45 minutes at about 375 so that the chicken is finished. It's just been browned, you see. And then the garbanzo beans will become very tender. And here's the final touch. It's very good. I have one all ready for you. Of course, but of course. But before I open this, keep it hot here. Before I open this, I want to make a paste for you. The Spaniards want to use bread for thickening. And what you do is to make some toast. Which toast do we have here? Here we are. You make some toast in the pan, in which you've cooked the egg, or the chicken, to start with, just fry a slice of bread. And I'm using wheat bread because it's much more typical of the kind of taste we'd have in Spain. There we are. So the chicken and beans and the vegetables are in the oven now, baking for 45 minutes. When they're done, in the meantime you do this. Cook up the piece of toast, and we want a couple of eggs, grated eggs, hard-boiled, obviously. You can't grate a raw egg. Don't tell me that. And we want some good Spanish sherry, which I've misplaced. Here it is. I want just a shot or so of sherry to moisten the bread. There we are. Now we stir that up with a fork, and you make a kind of paste out of it. Oh, don't use a fork. I've never used a fork before. Why should I bother now? Squish it up with your hands. There we are. This is really very unusual paste. Now we need to add to this the final blow, which of course is 2 fat cloves of garlic. There. Let me rinse my hand off here. And we have 2 cloves of garlic to go into that. And this we're going to put on the top of the soup to make the flavor sit up straight. You know what I mean? Garlic will make anything sit up straight. 2 cloves. That's 1 big fat one. And let's try another here. Come here. There we are. Isn't this a kick? You know, the possibilities are just endless when you consider that you can teach your children about the glories of other cultures with the food, with wonderful dishes. And I think it's important. For instance, you could teach your children that no self-respecting Spaniard has dinner before 10 o'clock at night. Why? Well, he opens his shop early in the morning, and then he takes 2 or 3 hours off in the afternoon for a fiesta, or sleeping time, you see, resting time. Isn't that a wonderful bit of smoke and steam going up? And then about 8 o'clock or so, he closes up at night, and he goes home and gathers his family, and they'll eat dinner beginning at 10 with a glass of fine sherry. The meal goes on and on. It is not, the Spaniards don't see dinner as a before event. In America, it's, well, let's have dinner before, and then we go do something else. In Spain, you have dinner, and that's a whole evening, and it's wonderful. All right, let's sprinkle the garlic bread egg paste over the top of our stew, which is garbanzo or chickpea and chicken. Garbanzo and chicken. There. Just kind of mess it about, and we'll need some parsley garnish, of course. And then, where's my garnish? Here it is. A little parsley garnish. And then finally, the last thing you throw in here is about a half cup of dry, good Spanish sherry, drinkable sherry. And it's now ready to go to the table. It's a beautiful dish. I think it's just a kick to serve. Let me clear a spot for us. More fun today. You see, this is a culture that we really don't understand. Americans have the gall to say Spaniards are lazy because they take a rest in the afternoon. You know how low heart attack is in Spain? You know how high it is in this country? You know why? Well, it's high in this country because we don't ever relax. We don't even eat dinner. We kind of pass through it as quickly as we possibly can, and that's silly. But in Spain, you wouldn't do that. You'd make up one of these stews and sit down with your friends with a glass of sherry and just have a wonderful time. All right, one more. There. Let's get a third one going here. Then we'll talk some more. I have a soup on the stove, and I want to show you how to make it. It's a garlic and egg soup. Garlic and egg is a beautiful thing. And here's what you do. Better calm down the pot here. I'll show you how to make the broth later on, but I want to get the broth in the oven. I'm going to confuse you a bit, but I've done that before. I'm whipping up 5 eggs, and I'm adding it to the pot of soup, which is already made, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to pour this over my fingers so that it kind of floats on the top. You understand what I'm saying? I hope so. 5 eggs whipped up and goes over the garlic soup. And this goes into a 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes. And that will allow us time to arrange our buffet and talk a little bit more about wine. But I'll make the broth for you in a second, I promise. I know I've promised you things before, and then we run out of time, and I don't do it. I'm sorry, but today we will. Oh. Okay. Now, in a moment, that will puff up, and and we'll have a lovely soup. Let me show you how to make it. You want to fry about 6 to 8 cloves of garlic in olive oil, a little bit of olive oil, maybe a third of a cup. And then into the pan, you add 6 slices of bread. See, here's the, I'm starting from scratch here because I didn't have enough frying pans around here today. You fry wheat bread. I have 6 slices that I've fried in the olive oil. I'm going to break them up. Break up the pieces of fried bread into the pan, and the bread, of course, will become very thick, and the garlic is very delicious. It'll have a wheaty, garlicky flavor. And this is, of course, it's peasant food. You were good to notice. It comes from the hills. Actually, it's a Basque dish. The Bascos live up in the hills of Spain. Wonderful food. They make lots of paellas and lots and lots of garlic in their food. Wonderful people. And wonderful music. The Basque are kind of the hill people of Spain. Whoops, one piece I missed. Good heavens, Smith. Now we're going to put in the soup stock. And that's about 6 cups of soup stock we want to our bread that we fried, our whole wheat bread, 6 slices, we fried in olive oil and lots of garlic, as much as you can possibly take, because it's going to cook down. So let's find a, my measuring cup is a 4-cupper here, so it's easy for me to do this. All right. Wow. I love it, but sometimes I get a little more action than I expect. That's all right. Now we're going to add to that a bunch of paprika, good fat tablespoon. The Spanish love paprika. Good fat tablespoon of paprika, and cook that. You cook that until you get kind of a mush. Do you understand what I'm saying? Did you see the mush that we had before I put it in the oven? Well, this will take a few minutes to cook down, and then you, when you're ready to go, you can heat this up a second time, of course. And when you're ready to go, you put it in the oven with the eggs. Pour the egg on top, 5 eggs, whipped up. Pour the egg on top, and you haul it out and have people cheer and yell. And your kids will call this some crazy thing. You know, they'll call it garlic bread soup, or they'll give it some silly name, and that's all right. That's all right. As long as they enjoy the feast, that's the point. This is not quite done yet, so let me talk about you for one more minute about another part of Spanish life in terms of their being a calm, very dignified, very gorgeous people. I think it's because they use wine as medicine. That is to say, wine is the oldest medicine that we know of in the world. It goes back so far that we cannot trace it. And we know now that wine is great for your indigestion, or for your digestion, particularly for the older people in our culture. They should always have a glass of wine with dinner because it will help them, help their appetite, help them digest their food. If you go to a state institution that is serving food to older people in our culture, and the law is they can't have wine, what do you mean they can't have wine? So they sit there and starve to death because they can't eat that terrible food. It's awful. So wine is helpful. Secondly, wine contains minerals and amino acids and wonderful things that will help your whole system. It's very antiseptic. In short, wine is good for you. It is our oldest medicine, and we should use it properly. Of course, too much of wine is like anything else. Too much of anything is bad for you, including water. But that's not the point of today's discussion. Let's find the soup. Oh, the garlic and egg soup. I don't think it's sat in there long enough, but oh my, whoops. I need something else to put this on. Well, I'm out of cork tops here. Let's try it, see what we have. Oh, it's perfect. Jeffrey, how do you do it? How do you do it? See how the egg has puffed up beautifully? Isn't that gorgeous? There. So we have 3 items, and finally the 4th one, and y'all just have to refer to my cookbook for this one, is of course the first course, which consists of salad in a glass, and it's called gazpacho, and it is a classic invention of Spain. And you serve a glass of ground up tomatoes and cucumber, a bit of garnish on top, and a beautiful dish, and people can walk around with their salad or their first course in their hand. What a wonderful experience as you experience a Spanish buffet. I don't know if I'd put all 3 of these out, but certainly this is a cold soup, and then paella perhaps, and a great big green salad, and invite people in that you love, and don't serve until late at night so that they'll all relax and enjoy their food. That's the principle behind Spanish cooking. All right, I have 4 dishes for you today. The gazpacho soup, or the salad in a glass, you'll have to find in my cookbook or in some other good cookbook. Joy of Cooking has a good one, too. All right, gazpacho, fine. Paella, we made paella with rice that we brown in the pan and then fill it up with chicken and artichokes and peas, wonderful things. Secondly, I made a stew for you out of garbanzos and chicken, or chickpeas and chicken. And finally, a soup that is filled with garlic toast and eggs on the top, called, of course, garlic and egg soup. Now picture this. It's late in the evening, and you gather some friends, and you pour a glass of fine sherry. It's about 9:45, and your friends have arrived, and you gather them about you, make some tapas for them, perhaps, from those little things we made before, you remember? And the paella is cooking on the stove, and you toast them all, and you give them a hug, and you play Spanish. You calm down, and you enjoy yourself, because you have people you love. That's the point of the feast, and that's the point of dinner in Spain. Till I see you again, this is the Frugal Gourmet. I bid you peace. Bye-bye.